Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
I'm Chris Clements.
And today is Thursday, June 19th. It's Juneteenth.
It's Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
You were educating me about the meaning of Juneteenth just a minute ago.
It's a holiday. Actually, it's a holiday I appreciate. It's one that conservatives lauded a few years ago. And then as soon as it became a federal holiday under Joe Biden, they started to trash it. Yeah. It's like, guys, let's show some consistency here. It is. Well,
if there's anything conservatives cannot be is consistent.
Well, that's true. We have a hard time.
Yes.
But one of the things, the reason I appreciate Juneteenth is this is when African Americans in Texas learned that they had been freed from slavery, like a year and a half after it actually happened. News traveled slow.
No internets back then.
No. So it's a freedom day. You know, it is a day that celebrates freedom. And I'm all about freedom.
Yeah.
So, happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. Enjoy your day.
Speaking of...
But we're here working.
We're here. Yes.
We
don't
here
take
commenting about things other than Juneteenth.
Yes. Speaking of the threat of freedom...
Yes.
We have Iran.
Iran.
And this is
Is it Iran or Iran?
I call it Iran.
I have friends who are from there who are of Iranian heritage. It is Iran.
Iran?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get corrected. Don't say Iran.
I'm sure. Well, Iran is a large country, largish. I mean, for it's 90-some million people.
Yeah.
And
apparently Ted Cruz didn't know that.
Well,
in his interview with Tucker Carlson.
That aren't. So
it's going everywhere. I walked in here and they're like, "Have you seen it?" I'm like, "I listened to a little bit of it, but I haven't gotten through it yet."
If you haven't watched the interview with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz defending Israel in attacking Iran, and Tucker Carlson very much against doing anything against Iran, it is painful to watch.
Yeah.
Because Tucker's wrong, Cruz is right, Tucker's the better debater on this, Cruz looks less informed than he should be.
Yeah.
But also, Tucker
has like this malleable sort of, he'll like agree and then he's almost setting you up for like the gotcha moment.
He's a gotcha guy. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
There was a pretty good meme.
And he's wrong on this issue, unequivocally.
Yes.
He's been wrong on this issue since October 7th.
Well, even before that. Yeah. There's a meme going around that has somebody asking, I think it's Darth Vader asking Luke, what's the population of the Death Star? Because if you haven't seen it, Tucker asks, well, what's the population of Iran? And Ted Cruz says, I have no idea. You don't have any idea how many people are there, and you're saying that we should do a regime change? And it's like, come on.
He kept going back to the regime change issue, and Ted Cruz was fairly consistent even from the beginning of the interview. And I haven't gotten through all of it, like I said, but he says, I am for regime change if it comes from the rising up of the people, right, which we've tried to support in fits and starts over the last 50 years.
Yeah. I mean,
we've been in a soft war with Iran since we were kids.
In 1979.
It's 1979.
And the one thing that Trump has been consistent about from literally when he first ran for office.
You've seen the video montages on it all over the internets.
Iran cannot have nuclear weapons, period.
Did he say that? Really?
He said it. Yeah, said it. Number of times.
Number of times. For the last 10 years.
Yeah. And it's
like pretty vociferously,
and it's been a U.S. policy for the most part since Reagan. It clearly took a step backwards under Obama.
Yeah, you think?
When Obama
sending tens of millions of dollars to the mullahs.
No, it wasn't tens of millions.
It was?
It was $1.6 billion in
I said
cash.
Tens, I mean, it adds up.
In cash on pallets that they flew into Tehran. Tehran? Is that how you say it?
Tehran. Iran and Tehran.
So
Yeah. So $1.6 billion.
wonder what that money was used for.
Yeah.
Attacking America, enriching uranium, all the stuff that we,
Hezbollah.
Yeah.
Hamas tunnels.
Right.
Yeah.
All that.
Imagine.
So the Israel, because Iran has been funding Hezbollah and Hamas and all of the stuff against Israel, and Iran is apparently getting closer to having nuclear weapon. Israel said, no, not now. And
yeah. So there's been all this discussion over the last by the I don't know what they're calling it, the horseshoe right, and everybody else about whether our intelligence was right about that they were still several years away from enriching the uranium, and it wasn't really an urgent thing for Israel to go in. Apparently, Israel's had the Mossad, embedded in Iran now for quite some time.
Yeah.
And from a historical perspective, I would actually trust Israeli intelligence much further than I would trust the CIA.
Well, no question when it comes to Iran.
When it comes to everything going on around them, just one simple example of that: beeper blowups.
Yeah. Look, Israel has
We
been
could never have done
under severe pressure and attack and all those things for decades in the region. So they have had to be as vigilant as they possibly could.
Absolutely.
To protect their homeland.
Absolutely.
And so absolutely their intelligence is going to be better than ours.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot more to lose than we do.
Well, and I think after October 7th, with the intelligence failures that obviously happened on their end, and probably in our end as well, they dialed it up a bit. And certainly they had this beeper program happening in Syria and Lebanon for quite some time. And they just dialed up what they already had in place and decided to execute it. Now, Gaza is pretty much a parking lot, and they're going to clean that up.
Yep.
They're going to clean up the Houthi issue eventually. If you notice that Hezbollah has been saber rattling, but they have nothing. They have no sabers to counteract, because all their leadership is dead, and now the very precision strikes of the Israeli military has taken out all but one of the generals in Iran. I think there were 12 of them, and now there is one. And you can't promote anybody in Iran because they end up getting blown up.
Right. So
it's been something to behold.
Yeah, the last 7 days have been a very interesting thing to watch with the missile strikes going back and forth. Israel's done a pretty good job of defending itself with the Iron Dome. There have been some missiles that have gotten through. Iran hit a hospital. Yeah. A big hospital in Israel. I don't know how many deaths.
I think it was like 12 or 14 is what I read.
Israel's going to respond pretty fiercely to that. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, I heard this morning that, every time Iran launches a missile, they know exactly where that launcher is, and they target it. So they've got free reign of the skies, and less missiles are being launched because less.
Yeah, there's less sites to launch them.
There's less sites to launch them.
So
there was a disconnect in the Iranian military between we need to build lots and lots and lots of missiles, but we don't have enough launchers.
Right. So they have a lot of missiles and not enough launchers to launch them all.
Yeah.
The big debate in MAGA world is what should the United States do? And there are those like Tucker Carlson and a handful of others who
Steve Bannon,
who
and Steve Bannon is just acting like a jilted lover at this point.
Yeah. He's just not.
He wants so badly to be in the administration, and he's just not going to get that call.
So they are saying absolutely no. America first means no involvement. Period. And without recognizing that Trump himself has said no nuclear weapons from Iran.
Well,
Period.
it's like I said, there's video montages
Yeah.
that people are playing, and they're all over YouTube.
So
10 years of him saying
So
that.
so it's interesting to watch the MAGA base, because Laura Loomer, for example, is like, I'm keeping names. I'm going to start cataloging everyone who's critical of the president over this issue, America First, blah blah blah. And even Trump was asked about it, and he's like, well, I came up with America First.
I'm America
I
First.
think I'm the one who determines what's America First. He kind of dismissed Tucker, dismissed Bannon, which I found interesting. Charlie Kirk was very much against action against Iran, and then kind of walked it back and said, I trust the president.
Well, because what's happening on the back end, and you know this from the way Washington works, is people get their clicks, they get their coin, and then all of a sudden on the back channels, people start saying, you better tone it down.
Yeah.
You better, if you actually want to continue your access and your purview with the president, you need to figure something out quick. And nobody is for more clicks and coin than Charlie Kirk. So
what's interesting is that I think, because it's very easy for the MAGA base folks to say, oh, well, Lindsey Graham, there isn't a war that he doesn't want to be a part of. First it's we'll bomb, and then it's boots on the ground, and then it's a drawn out thing, And it's like, I don't think Lindsey Graham wants to put U.S. troops in Iran. I don't think that for a second.
No.
I don't think Ted Cruz does.
No.
But
no one does.
Do we have a responsibility as the superpower in the world who has the capability of decimating the nuclear program in Iran to do so? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Trump has been pretty clear. You guys, we have been trying to negotiate. You guys have not come to the table. Bets are off now.
It's funny that it happened on the 61st day.
Yeah. Well, Israel's
of the
not
ultimatum.
Stupid. Yeah, Israel's not stupid. They're like, that's the window, right? It's like, well, Trump said 60 days, 61st day. Okay, here, let's go.
Well, and you make a great point that they know they have a window. They've isolated, the proxies of Iran.
Yes.
They have a window. They can wait. They can wait and see. They can rely on U.S. intelligence to whatever effect that might bring some fruit. But they have a window. They know they have a window. And they had the window of surprise as well, because many of those generals were caught sleeping.
Well, I mean,
kaboom.
And Trump deserves a lot of credit for that, because he kept saying, "Hey, we're not doing anything. We're not going to get engaged. We want to negotiate a peace. We want to do this peacefully." But he did say you have 60 days. And then on the 61st day, I guess they thought he wasn't serious, or that Israel wasn't going to. I mean, it is a little bit surprising that they haven't taken this seriously, because, or they didn't, and they were, surprised by this. But I think it's critically important for people to understand when evil people have nuclear weapons,
Easy
it is
for you to say.
Not a good thing.
No. I mean, I think when the Iranian regime says death to America and we are the great Satan, I think there's rhetoric and hyperbole in many relationships that we have with other countries in the world, but they have proven time and time again since 1979 that their principal goal is to kill Americans.
Yeah,
as many as they can.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Israel,
through proxies or through any other means.
So it is, and for those who think that it is somehow America first to turn our backs on what's happening in the Middle East is just absurd.
Yeah. It's not my war; it's their war, and it doesn't really affect me.
This whole thing about I'm not going to die for Israel, no, you're not. No. You're right. You're not going to die for
Actually, you know what's great about our
But
relationship?
Israel might die for you.
Yeah, you know what's great about our relationship with Israel? They're well prepared to die for us.
Yes.
And guess what? They're well prepared to die for the sanctity of their country.
Yes,
And they are doing it.
they do. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, they face an onslaught every single
Single day.
We don't have any idea what that's like.
And guess what the hypocrisy is?
A bomb has never been lobbed into Scottsdale, Arizona.
No.
Nope. Hasn't happened.
Nope.
We don't have any idea
Well,
that's like.
and the hypocrisy. I don't know if anyone has seen. There was a video that came out that is making its way around the internets from Douglas Murray, and he made a speech about 13 years ago about Israel and what they would be forced to do once they're backed up into a corner.
Yep.
Which is precisely what we're seeing right now. And what he said was, and he was speaking probably to some European group or whatever, is that the Europeans would be complicit in condemning Israel at that moment, but the back channels would be cheering Israel. The Arabs would also condemn Israel, but secretly they'd be cheering Israel, and we will all be better for what Israel would do at that moment. He couldn't have been more right.
Yeah, it was prophetic. I mean, to a T.
That was 13 years ago.
To a T. Amazing. So it's, yet to be, the news reports are that the president has approved the plans to go in and use the bunker busting bombs, the 30,000 pound bombs from the B-2 bombers. And it's just a matter
which you wouldn't even see it coming.
Nope. It's just
it
a matter
would be
of,
dropped 5 miles away, and you would be lucky to hear it whistling.
Yeah, just a matter of him doing the final, okay. And, he said he's going to wait till the very last second, which, he, keep in mind, during his first administration, he came this close.
Yeah.
He'd been a millimeter from pulling the trigger, so to speak, on a bombing raid in Iran, and decided at the very, 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 very last second. I mean, the bombers were in the air, and he said, "No go," turned them around. So I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, but I think that we have to assume that I guess it ultimately he's giving them every last chance he possibly can to say, okay, we'll negotiate. I guess.
Well, I mean, what do they do now? What does the Ayatollah do now? I mean, he's still blustering on X as much as he's ever been.
Yeah.
We know where he's hiding, apparently, but who knows? What does he do? His entire leadership is gone.
Yeah.
The military is going to all they have to stand on militarily are their proxies and their missiles. They don't have an air force. They don't have really much of an army. So this bluster from again the horseshoe right that believed wrongly that any type of attack in Iran would unleash the horrors of hell on the world.
Yeah.
It's just it's insane. It's completely perverse.
Well,
and we've known that they've been in decline for quite some time.
Right.
But because of that decline, they have been absolutely pursuing weapons so that, when their decline is inevitable, they can take their revenge on the world. There's no doubt about that.
They clearly have been pursuing atomic weapons. So one of the things that I find, again, the hypocrisy of all this, we're not only talking about the angst from some in the MAGA right, but listening to the Democrats.
Oh, the Democrats.
Oh, the president doesn't have the authority to do this. This is a war powers issue. He can't do this unilaterally. Where were they when Barack Obama was blowing away all kinds of different places in the Middle East?
Droning people.
Yeah.
Including American citizens.
American citizens.
Yeah.
Where were they when Biden
and children
did this?
Women and children too.
Go back to Clinton. Where were they when Clinton was doing this? I mean, it is it just drives me crazy how much Democrat memory is so short and so selective that the thing that makes it worse is that they know they can get away with it because the media will never say, well, wait a minute, didn't 4 years ago didn't you really you didn't say anything then, what's going on?
No, of course not.
I mean, it's
Of course not.
maddening.
Well, I mean, it's you can draw parallels with the immigration issue.
Yeah.
Calling, the No Kings riots that happened over the last weekend. It's a joke. Now President Trump is a king. Yeah. First, he was a dictator.
Right.
So he's moving up in the world. Yeah. Apparently.
I mean, this is just so rich. If the president wants to completely ignore this is Mark Warner.
Oh goodness.
Senator from Virginia. He's the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. If the president wants to completely ignore the intelligence community, we are playing on dangerous ground. This is exactly the way we got ourselves into Iraq.
Okay.
Like, no, this is not Iraq. Not even close. Not even close.
Yeah. The parallels are not there. And I think that with the president's best course of action is right now to do nothing. Back up Israel the best that we can with more munitions and whatever we need to do. Put a defensive posture on our bases in the Middle East and see what Iran's going to be backed into a corner and see what they do.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a call for the bunker buster bomb, but he doesn't need to do that yet. No. He's got time.
He's got some time.
He's got time. Israel has time. And that time, I think, is on our side. He's holding all the cards.
Yeah.
So, and then what's going to happen in Iran? You've got people dancing in the streets.
Yeah.
You've got people dancing, which is illegal for anybody who doesn't know in Iran. You have women taking off their headdresses. You've got people who are obviously, clamoring, to your point earlier, for freedom. Not that we should be part of boots on the ground regime change, but that sort of organic uprising, we can only hope that we can at least support that.
Yeah.
To your point again, Obama never did.
No. I mean, this
Biden never did.
This could be a monumental shift in Middle East policy.
Well, I heard this morning that maybe, the people of Iran are waking up to the understanding that maybe the regime isn't so powerful after all.
Right.
Maybe they've been weak all along.
Right. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. There are 92 million of us.
Yes.
We can stand up against this regime.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be.
I don't know.
It could be historic.
It could be.
I mean,
sometimes
people,
regimes like this can be replaced with something worse.
Right. But there are still people alive in Iran who remember the pre-1979 Iran, which was like the cosmopolitan area of the Middle East.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was a hip and happening place.
Oh yeah.
Very, very pro-Western, very cultured. I mean,
yeah. It wasn't that the Shah didn't have his issues, obviously, but Iran was, in the most innate sense, it was Persia.
Yeah,
and those are terms actually you cannot use in the Republic of Iran, the Islamic Republic.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Anything?
You can't say Persian?
No. Anything. I read this the other day. Anything having to do with the Persian past, Persian pride, those types of exclamations you cannot do in the Islamic Republic.
Interesting.
Yeah, because those are nationalistic terms of past pride, and you can only hope that somehow that they can reconstitute that.
I mean, this is, you want to talk about why we care about religious freedom in America? Just look at Iran. It's a theocratic dictatorship that has imposed this awful mentality on its citizens
Yeah.
and does not allow them to have the freedom of thought, doesn't allow them to have individualism. I mean, this could, this happens in Iran. This could have carryover effect in all kinds of countries in the Middle East.
Well, I think that's why you have most of the Arab countries, well, if not all of them, sitting back and quietly applauding because they don't want a nuclear Iran.
No.
That creates an entire race to the bomb all across the Middle East.
Yeah.
The UAE certainly doesn't want that. And these are the new civilized, quote unquote, especially the UAE, where I have a lot of people who do business. And Dubai is now the shining example of maybe what Persia was back in the day.
Right.
There's Christian churches in the UAE. There's synagogues. Everyone's, they're Western educated. They have an affinity towards the West. And they certainly would want that for the Persians as well.
Right.
I think the left in this country does not really understand the oppression that happens in Iran. And because, you saw Whoopi Goldberg yesterday on The View. I don't know if you heard about this. She tried to make a false equivalent between the plight of Black Americans and the plight of Iranian women. And it's completely insane. Completely insane. Or the plight of Black Americans. And it's interesting that it's Juneteenth. And the plight of gays in Iran. Okay, if you're LGBT in Iran, you are hung from the highest rooftops.
Yeah, I mean,
and thrown off that rooftop.
I mean,
women in Iran, to your point, what it used to be were professional women. They were in the workforce. They were raising families and very independent culture. And the Islamic Republic squashed that.
Yeah.
To where if you are without your headdress in open public, you can be stoned.
Yeah.
Stoned.
It is insane.
So it's just low IQ idiot leftists like Whoopi Goldberg who just have no idea what they're talking about and try to create these false equivalents, between our country, which is the beacon of freedom, regardless of our faults. And we have faults just like any other country, regardless of our really messy history. We are still the greatest beacon of freedom in the world. Otherwise, 21 million people would not have just poured into our borders.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is self-evident. I mean, which is what's so crazy about it. Oh, wow. What else is going on?
Anything happen in this fair state these days?
No, it's so hot.
It's beyond hot.
I think June is the when we get to the middle of June, that's when you realize, you know what? Everything's kind of shutting down.
Yes.
People are just like hiding out or they're getting out of town. And so Phoenix is the kind of place, for those of our listeners who are not Phoenicians, Phoenix is the kind of place that from about June 15th until first week of August, you are basically not going to get anything accomplished.
No.
Deadlines are missed.
If you're trying to do like a charity event or a political event, or you're trying to do anything business related in Phoenix, Arizona, typically, both Tucson as well, it's not.
Because
people are gone. People left
leaving.
last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, people are leaving, and it's not that everybody leaves and everybody leaves for a month. It's that these people leave for these 2 weeks, and then a week into that, another group of people leave for 2 weeks, and so basically, you just like I have a number of different projects I'm doing, in which I realized that yesterday was kind of like the last day until the end of July.
Father's Day really is kind of the cutoff in some ways.
Yeah.
Here, because people just go away. A lot of people go up to Flagstaff. They go to the coast. They enjoy June. We Arizonans enjoy June gloom. And then you're over at some of the hotels and resorts here, and it's Californians who are like, we're freezing. It's hilarious. Right. They go out to Palm Springs and come to Scottsdale because the rates are, dirt cheap, and the pools are cool, and they haven't seen the sun in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
And we go over there. We would go over to La Jolla for Memorial Day, and that's kind of when the June gloom comes in. It's freezing, and we'd sit there on the beach, and I'm like, you know what? This is fine. It's because in a couple of weeks it's 190.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know what your plans are. I'm getting out of town next week.
Yeah,
and we'll be gone for.
You're going to be gone for a little bit. I'm going to be here by myself next. No, I actually am looking to get a pretty good guest next week.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, but we'll be together on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. Yeah.
And then July. I'm sure glad we bagged all those episodes in Washington.
Although we've been putting a bunch of them out.
Yeah, we sure have. And they've been getting a great response. So everybody's been listening and forwarding and commenting. Thank you so much.
And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about, the big, beautiful bill.
Yes, the Senate has released their blueprint.
Their blueprint. They have for inexplicably taken all the HSA stuff out.
Yes.
The House had some great health savings account expansion language in their draft, and Chairman Crapo, senator from Idaho, who's the chairman of the Finance Committee, said, "Nah, we're not going to put any of that stuff in. We want that," because it was about $40 billion worth of tax breaks for individuals.
Well, and expanding HSAs to people who wouldn't normally.
And this make no mistake,
be able to take advantage of them.
This is a middle class tax cut.
Oh yeah,
that the Senate's now taking away from us.
Yeah,
and because they want to pay for other things. Well, I get it, but in a $1 trillion bill, $40 billion is a drop. And
you have bigger fish to fry with the salt deductions and things like that.
Yeah.
So the HSA, we had John Desser on our show as part of our time in DC, and at that time we thought there was that the
we
HSA,
were cheering.
HSA expansion
in the House bill.
Should pass muster in the Senate, but obviously it didn't. One good thing in the Senate blueprint is making a lot of tax of the business-oriented tax cuts permanent,
right,
and not sunsetting them, which Republicans have been off to do, which is what gets us in this mess.
Yep.
And if you can get some permanency with things like accelerated depreciation and some of the tax levels for LLCs and pass-through businesses, then we don't have to go back and forth on this.
Yeah.
And no Democrat is going to be for raising those taxes.
Yeah.
Because then you're hitting middle class taxpayers, you're hitting small business owners,
right?
And nobody is for that.
Yeah. So that be on the lookout. The July 4th deadline. I don't know. It looks a little bit iffy.
Well, some of the New York. So what did they do with the salt deduction? I had not seen that. Did they leave the $40,000 in there?
They did. I think,
or they drop it down to whatever.
I think they dropped it to 20 or 30. I don't remember. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out, because there will definitely be some squawking on that. And we've talked about this. We've talked about why the Senate is less inclined on that. Is because there are no Republican senators from blue states that have these issues. It's all House members from blue states: California, Illinois, New Jersey, New York.
Yeah, and we need them. I mean, that's the other thing. We need those House members, or else we don't have a majority.
But look, I don't, and I might be speaking out of turn. I don't believe that the election of a Republican in one of those states is dependent upon whether salt is there.
No, it's not. It's like it's almost like they're doing the Democrats' bidding.
Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
Because it's not
life or death for their election.
No, it's not. If anything, just the opposite.
Yeah. So the other big news this week was the Supreme Court ruled on the Tennessee case.
Yes.
On
that's a big ruling.
That said that Tennessee state law will not be overturned, which would prohibit the treatment of minors in transgender treatments.
Yes.
So that no longer can medical providers provide medical treatment for the purpose of transitioning from one gender to another to a minor.
Yes.
And a lot of people were really wigged out about that. I don't understand.
Who is wigged out about that?
Well, the trans rights
Yeah.
types. But it's like, look, we have to understand.
These gender clinics that operate under the auspices, and I'm talking about Phoenix Children's too, of gender affirming care, they should all be dismantled.
Well,
because it's a misnomer and it's a lie.
Let me put a fine point on this.
Yes,
the way
please
I
do.
look at it. There is no such thing as trans rights for a child under the age of 18.
Correct.
If you are 18 or older, you can claim trans rights all you want. You want to
Absolutely.
dress like a woman, if you want to pretend that you're a woman, you want to say you're a woman,
Or a man.
or whatever. I mean,
You want to have your
Okay.
double mastectomy or whatever else after 18?
yeah,
You can live with those consequences.
yeah. That is your call.
Absolutely.
And I may not totally agree with it, but I'm certainly not going to get the way. It's your call. The only issues that I think that need to be kind of figured out, which I don't really understand, I don't know how we're going to figure it out, is adult men who have not transitioned saying that they're women walking into a women's locker room or that kind of thing. I mean,
no. We can successfully say that is wrong.
okay. So
Yes.
if you want to walk
Yeah,
into a woman's locker room,
if you're
a biological guy,
if you're Leah Thomas and you are actually being excited, I'm using good euphemism words, by being in a women's locker room because you're claiming that you're a woman. There's nothing female about you. You should be banned from the sport, and there's no way we should allow that. We should not allow men who think they're women in female prisons. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
unless they've gone through the transition process.
No,
Not even that?
no, absolutely not.
If you cut it off.
It doesn't matter.
Really?
No, because you can't. You're still mentally ill. Come on.
I'm not going to disagree with that. But anyway, the point is that you cannot say that it's a trans rights issue to say that you're going to deny transition care to a minor.
Well, I mean,
because minors don't have rights.
Well, they were talking about doing these type of procedures with children as young as 5.
I mean,
that's
if you're a minor, you
crazy.
cannot get a tattoo. If you're a minor, you can't get an ear pierce
Can't take a drink.
unless you have a note from your parents. You can't drink. You can't smoke.
You can't vote.
You can't vote.
Nope. Can't drive a car till you're 16.
I mean, in fact, it's even worse than that. I mean, you can go get a double mastectomy at 18. You can't buy alcohol
No.
at 18. You can't even buy cigarettes at 18.
No.
And yet the same people who pass the laws that say the 18-year-olds can't buy cigarettes are saying, by gosh, they need to be able to cut off their breasts.
It's insane. It's complete lunacy. And kudos to Matt Walsh, the Daily Wire, who kind of exposed this stuff happening at Vanderbilt, and that's where that's what initiated the law in Tennessee, and then they've carried it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And that's just to say, and all the Supreme Court is saying that states can do what they need to do.
Right.
It wasn't
Robert,
a national
Yeah,
proclamation.
this wasn't. Oh, this is it. It was.
It is.
This is an issue that the states have to decide.
Yes.
Their process. Chief Justice.
So
Roberts
in Tennessee, you can't do that.
Right.
In California or Minnesota,
You can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so states have the ability to do that. American Encore
Doesn't make it
the organization that I'm the president of joined as an amicus in that Supreme Court briefing. So we'll take it as a win.
Yeah, well, good for you. I did not know that. Good for you.
I mean, I just, as a father.
As a father of young girls. You see all this stuff happening in California and Portland and in Oregon of these dudes winning, softball tournaments for, because of their pitching or track meets. And these girls have to stand at the lower podiums because some dude who's not well is sitting there at the top of the podium.
Right.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. I have not encountered that here in this state. I know Chris Mays wants to fight for those rights, and it's all the more reason we need to get her out of there.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Well, be on the lookout with what Trump decides to do. By the time we come back to you next week, we could
by the end of today. I mean,
it could be.
When this episode is released, we could see something.
So be on the lookout, and God bless our troops.
Yes, God bless our troops, and God bless our country.
And the thing we talked about the big beautiful bill, but we wanted to say thank you to one of our sponsors, AFP Arizona.
Yes,
AFP,
who have been
big proponents of the big beautiful bill.
Pushing for this.
Get that tax cut. If you have not talked to your representative or senator, do so and tell them to vote to pass the bill.
Yes. Or else your taxes are going up.
Yeah, or you're going to have a huge tax increase. All of us.
Yes.
Literally all of us.
Regardless of the SALT deductions,
it doesn't matter.
The HSA expansion.
If you pay taxes, you will pay more taxes.
Yes.
Your tax is going up. Now, if you don't pay taxes, if you don't pay taxes, there's a chance that you will start to pay taxes.
Yes, that's
depending
correct.
on where you are in the income situation. But
basically, if you're a small business that files as an LLC or a pass-through, your taxes are going to go up dramatically.
Dramatically. It's going to be awful.
Almost 10%.
Pass the bill. And until next time.
All right. God bless. Thanks for
have a great
listening.
one. Thanks, folks. See ya.